Greetings, this is Matt Fiello, and I'm back with another Intersight Manage Mode Expert Series video. We're still talking about domain profile policies, or domain policies. And in this video, we're going to talk about the switch control policy. So with that, let's get started. Okay, so let's talk about switch control policy in UCS. So basically, this policy allows you to make configuration changes on the fabric interconnects from a global perspective. Specifically, if you want to put Ethernet or fiber channel into switching mode from in-host mode, you're going to use this policy to do that. It also allows you to enable VLAN port optimization. So you get like 16,000 VLANs, combination of multiplying how many VNICs by how many VLANs going to the VNICs plus your VLANs times uplink ports, and you get this number. So, you know, it can scale. Certainly service providers would likely enable VLAN port optimization, because that 16,000 gets bumped up to like 128,000. It also lets, this policy lets you do your reserved system VLANs. You can actually change the range. There's 128 contiguous VLANs that's part of the system use only VLAN range, and you can alter that. Also, you can choose to alter MAC address aging timing, as well as there's a couple global settings for UDLD. Now, the switch control policy is just directly attached to your domain profile. So it's not a nested policy. It's easy to see and to select. As far as recommendations go, probably for most UCS customers, you're just going to be keeping the defaults. Just bear in mind, if you do leverage to change in-host mode to switch mode, okay, either for Ethernet or fiber channel, just keep in mind that that is a disruptive change to the FI. Okay, so you're going to have to deploy the domain profile to invoke that change and reboot of the FI. And of course, if you were to decide to change back for some reason, you're going to have to make the setting change, redeploy the domain profile. As far as UDLD's global settings go, this has a little bit of connectivity to the link control policy. Because remember, the link control policy is for your Ethernet or fiber channel over Ethernet uplink ports on the FI. So if you want to change kind of the timing of the messages, or if you're going to go in aggressive mode on that link control policy and you wish to have some kind of a reset when if a unidirectional communications is detected in aggressive mode, it's going to error disable the port. That link control policy would do that. That's optional, okay? But the switch control policy can actually reset that error disable. So just bear in mind there's some connectivity there. Now, as far as verification steps through the CLI, this command here in the NXOS menu is showing MAC address table. So it will show you MAC aging. Of course, these are zeros. This is a lab system. So there's not been any significant time elapse between when these VLANs were seen. They're internal system VLANs. But just know that that's how you access the MAC address aging parameters. Okay, so another verification you can do is actually look at your system VLAN. So if you did a, within NXOS menu, if you do a show VLAN internal usage, you can see that your 39 to 4042 plus the last VLAN 4094 is actually being used. That's currently configured as your system VLANs. And as with all IMM Expert Series videos, I like to show a graphical portrayal of how this policy is used and how it's accessed. So simple, we have the domain profile on the left here, and you'll directly attach the switch control policy to the domain profile as you're building that out. And we'll cover that in the domain profile creation video. So for this switch control policy, I actually want to show you a separate graphic here. So this is a graphic showing both the link control policy, which from the domain profile within the port policy, and you start configuring uplink ports or port channels for Ethernet or fiber channel over Ethernet. You get exposure to selecting a link control policy, and that definitely has UDLD parameters in it. An example is aggressive mode, in which case the unidirectional link, if a unidirectional link is detected, it will actually error disable the port. Okay. Just want to show you that you got that connectivity with the switch control policy as well. So that's why the dotted line there. There's that UDLD global settings here in switch control policy. Just be aware of that. This affects obviously the timing and whether you want to re-enable an error disabled port. Okay, so moving on with the demonstration, creating a switch control policy. So here we are in Intersight infrastructure service. We go down to policies. We create a policy, use the filter. Since we're using creating domain policies, use the domain filter. Here's switch control policy. Click start. Got to give it a name. Click next. And here's the different parameters that you can set. Here's your switching mode. Of course, by default, we're in in-host mode for Ethernet, in-host mode for fiber channel, but this is how you would switch either protocol to switch mode if your use case requires that. By default, VLAN port count optimization is turned off. It is quicker processing, less processing, so we don't automatically turn that on. You would need to do that if you're dealing with thousands and thousands of VLANs in your infrastructure. Again, if you have 10 VNICs on a server and you're passing 100 VLANs, that's 1,000 VLANs right there. So anything north of 16,000, you're probably going to enable this VLAN port count optimization. And here, system reserved VLANs, it's 128 VLANs contiguous that's used by the system. In other words, you cannot use those VLANs for servers. By default, it starts at 3915 and it goes up 128 to 4042. But in our example here, let's pretend 4042 is a critical VLAN in your infrastructure. You need to use that VLAN for a host. Well, you can adjust this, okay? The start range here, 3910 as an example, and that frees up 4042 then to use as a host VLAN, okay? As far as the MAC address aging time, especially in UCS, the default parameters are going to probably suffice for the absolute majority of customers out there. You can set a default, an alternate default aging time. Okay, and here's some guidance here, increments by 5, as it is. 14,500 is just a little over 4 hours. Okay, so as far as the unidirectional link detection, global settings, remember the connectivity with the link control policy that gets set on the Ethernet uplinks and fiber channel over Ethernet uplinks. But here is your global message interval time, defaults to the 15. Unlikely you're going to change that, but the recovery action here, if you're using those UDLD aggressive mode on your link control, okay, policy, then remember you got the option here to reset that. Okay, so with that, we're going to click create. And that concludes our demonstration. Okay, so that concludes our video for creating a switch control policy. I hope you were able to learn something, and stay tuned for more Intersight Manage Mode Expert Series videos. Thank you.